Later with Mo Kelly.
KFI AM 640. It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Last month, Saving California, a newly formed nonpartisan coalition of working families, professionals, and community advocates announced the launch of a new recall campaign targeting Governor Gavin Newsom. You may remember that Newsom defeated a recall attempt in 2021 by 24 points, also won re-election a short time thereafter by an almost identical margin. Will this end any differently? Well, joining me to help answer that question is Randy Economy, who is leading this effort to recall Governor Newsom. Randy, my friend, glad to finally have you back on the show. Thank you for coming on tonight.
It's a blessing to be here, Mo. How are you?
I'm doing well. You and I have been, not to tell all of this, but you and I have been in communication over the past week or so. And I appreciate you moving things around in your life to be able to come on tonight because it's important to you and this is important to me. And I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Let me start with the obvious question. Why is this recall effort likely to end any differently than any previous one from where you sit?
I think it's Gavin Newsom himself, and the Gavin Newsom of 2025 is not the Gavin Newsom of 2021. He has declined tremendously in his ability to lead. I think with these fires, it's basically put him into an international spotlight, and I think right now he has completely blown it and failed thus far in regards to, his actions. I mean, he's the most erratic leader I've ever seen in my lifetime as an elected governor here in California. We've had some real doozies in the past. But I think the reason why it's going to work this time, it's because of Gavin himself. And I think he's a former shell of a governor that he was 3 years ago when we did the recall against him the last time. And I think people right now are angry. There's an anger out there against him that you cannot deny. And so I think the fires were, lit a firestorm beast, basically, and showed his incompetence as a leader. So I think that's why it's going to work this time.
According to multiple news outlets, the 2021 recall election that we've both referred to cost taxpayers more than $200 million. And I think it would be fair to say that this effort, if it garners enough signatures, will cost at least that much. But also in a calendar sense, there likely can't be any special recall election prior to November of this year, give or take a month. Mm-hmm. How do you justify the expenditure of at least another $200 million for a guy who's going to leave office in November of 2026?
First of all, I'm going to challenge that number. I don't know where that number is coming from. I'm floating around it. I've heard the numbers between $70 and $80 million, but to me, that's the price of democracy. And if we have to start thinking, gosh, I can't do this because it's going to cost taxpayers too much money. He just spent $50 million to de-Trump California, whatever the hell that means. I mean, so this guy, it's not about the money. And I know people want to use that as a scare tactic. To me, you have to be able to you have to get to the realize of the fact that, we're recalling and getting rid of a really crappy governor, and there's no price for democracy that allows us to be able to do that. And $200 million to a state election statewide, that's not going to cost that much. I just know that to be fact. So I'm not going to trust really the numbers until the numbers are come out from the Secretary of State's office, and we haven't gotten to that point yet.
Has it ever crossed your mind? And since we're talking about democracy, has it ever crossed your mind that after the 7th or 8th or 9th attempt, that it's not about the recall, it's just that California voters have chosen and repeatedly have chosen Governor Newsom, whether you or I or anyone else may disagree with that choice?
I don't think it's been 7 or 8 times. I know there's been 7 or 8 attempts on paper to try to get him out of office. That doesn't mean they've been successful attempts to get him actually on the ballot. I know the one that was on the ballot where I served as a senior advisor, that was a much different scenario. So I don't buy the fact that it's been 7, 8, 9, 10 times that he's been attempted to recall. Anybody can go ahead and file paperwork to recall somebody. That doesn't mean it's a legitimate attempt. This is a very legitimate attempt. This is something that, people are not going backwards on, they're going forwards on. And again, we can't, I don't see it. We can't afford 2 more years of Gavin Newsom. We can't afford 18 more months of this guy. And if the election is held in July or August, which probably will be more likely than having it in November, still it's a year and a half off of his term. So I'm not buying it, Mo. I think we are in a very tragic situation here in California. We are lacking the governor that we deserve. whoever that's going to be, we just can't continue on this path. So that's why I'm so adamant on wanting to make sure that this recall is done legally, correctly, by the book, and that it's a nonpartisan effort from everybody, from all walks of life, Democrats, Republicans, anybody. And I think this time it's different this time. It just feels different, totally different.
You know that with any recall effort, we cannot just push aside the who it might be. The who it might be, if not Gavin Newsom, is fundamental to that question. And going back to 2021, that person who was at the top of the list, I'm not saying that you promoted the person, I'm just saying who ended up at the top of the list was Larry Elder. And I know for a fact that he was not really trying to become governor. He was not campaigning all around the state, and he didn't have the infrastructure to suggest that he was serious about that. What about the idea? It's not just we hate this guy, but there has to be someone that is a viable alternative, which also factors into the equation.
I think that's one of the reasons why I love democracy so much in California is up to the people to be able to select the next governor. That's not my job to be able to bring somebody forward and say he's the anointed candidate. You can't do background type politics with this particular type of campaign. With the situation with Larry, let's face it, Larry was a train wreck, an absolute freaking train wreck. And I was probably the biggest, most vocal opponent to him running when he did it the last time. So I still believe that today, and I think there's a lot of fringe candidates like Larry Elder that will seize an opportunity to come out of the woodwork, so to speak, again. But I think right now we're at a very pivotal point in California where we see every day what Gavin Newsom is doing to us, and we see every day his lack of ability to lead. So this isn't about anybody other than just one person. That's Gavin Newsom, and then the system and the election will take its it'll shake itself out from the top down.
Let me ask you a cynical question because we live in a cynical time, and I'm a cynical person.
We do.
Is any portion of this connected to the idea that Gavin Newsom may very well be the perceived front runner for the Democratic nomination in 2028, and this would add a stain to him if successful?
I don't have a political. I don't have a magic ball. I know a lot of people. I know Gavin would like to think that he's the front runner for the presidency in 2028. That's only up to the voters and to the people. I know that Gavin thinks very highly of himself, and I know that he thinks that his presidency is going to happen, irregardless of what people here in California think about him. So I don't buy that per se that, he's going to be handed the presidency. Nobody's going to be handed anything in democracy. It's just not going to happen.
I'm just talking about the Democratic Party.
Well, the Democratic Party is a mere shell of itself than it was 4 years ago. I mean, literally the Democratic Party is, I don't know what's worse right now, the way this Democratic Party is structured or the lack of having any type of Republican Party here in California. The Democratic Party is in shambles nationwide. They are in shambles. It's nothing to go ahead and be proud of. My God, they just put in David Hogg as the vice chairman of the Democratic National Committee. Right. Are you kidding me? Right. I mean, it's a joke. It's an absolute farcical joke. And if the Democrats want to put all their eggs in Gavin Newsom's basket, have at it, kids.
Joining me right now is Randy Economy as part of the nonpartisan group Saving California, which is leading the latest recall effort against Governor Gavin Newsom. Randy, can I get you to hang around for one more quick segment? Because I want to ask you specifically about the Republican Party and where it sits, not just in California, but nationally.
Yep, 100%, Mo.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And joining me on the line is Randy Economy as part of the nonpartisan group Saving California, is leading the latest recall effort against Governor Gavin Newsom. And Randy, in the last segment, we talked about what you saw were the failings of Governor Gavin Newsom and the shambles, as you characterize, the National Democratic Party. Then let's flip to the Republican Party. And let me first start in California. I've long said that the Republicans have ceded California to the Democrats and more want to be the critic and not actually seek to govern. What I mean by that is I haven't seen the Republican Party put a serious candidate forth for like mayor of Los Angeles or governor of California. Now, there have been some decent candidates, but not like full-throated support where they're trying to win the state. From where you sit, is the Republican Party about trying to change the math in Sacramento and statewide, or are they just content to whine and complain?
You know, Mo, there's 130 elected officials in Sacramento. 130. That's all the state constitutional officers and the members of the Assembly and the Senate, Board of Equalization. 130, 135. There's like 22 that are actually registered Republicans. You can't. That's not a party. That's nothing. That's in the most insignificant group of individuals you'll ever meet in probably political history is being a member of an elected member of the legislature or here in California. They have no say. They have no pull. It's a disgrace. I don't want anything to do with the Republican Party structure in California. That's why we're a nonpartisan group, and that's why we are bringing the heat to the table and not make this about Republican Party. There's not enough Republicans to do anything in California. Nothing. Zero.
But I'm just like playing thought experiment. If this particular recall effort, let me take it back to that. If this particular recall effort is about saying, hey, this guy has to go, at least intellectually, people have to know that there is some sort of an alternative. Not necessarily even with the recall, but let's just say on a gubernatorial level.
Right. There is. And I think there's a lot of people right now who are mounting very serious campaigns wanting to become the governor. Stephen Klubeck, who's a Democrat. I mean, he's a former Newsom, biggest supporter. He can't stand the guy now. If you can go even down to the line of people like Nicole Shanahan, who was the vice presidential pick for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., where I served as Mr. Kennedy's senior advisor on his campaign. I mean, she's thinking about running and entering the governor's race. Kamala Harris wants to be the governor of California. You know, you've got all of these people lining up to be the governor of California, and they're not going to be loyal to Gavin. They don't need to be loyal to Gavin anymore. They need to be loyal to themselves and to their campaigns, because Gavin is basically now, I'm trying to just put this man out of his misery in regards to his ability as an elected official. He's just such a disaster. He's just a failure. The man is a complete failure. He's a con artist. And I think people have finally seen through him. But my job is not to pick the next governor. My one is to get rid of this one.
But you do know the Democrats that you did list, including Kamala Harris, the former vice president, they're not going to jump into this race when they know that there's a general election in 2026. There's no need to get in a recall race. I mean, that's shooting yourself in the foot as a party.
Well, again, I mean, I think if you were to look at political ambitions of people, who knows? I don't know what Tony Atkins is going to do, the former Speaker of the Assembly. I don't know what Tony Thurman's going to do, who's the superintendent of public instruction, or the other candidates that are announced for governor right now. Fiona Ma. I don't know what they're going to do. All I do know is, Eleni Koulounakis, who's the lieutenant governor. I mean, why wouldn't she want to become the governor? She's already running for governor. I mean, I don't see this loyalty to Gavin being as thoughtful and as cemented in any type of structure as compared to in the past. He's just a mere shell of his former self. He's at 23%, 24% of the popularity count ratings now. I mean, the approval ratings, 23%. That's like foot fungus, I think, is probably more popular than Gavin Newsom right now.
Randy, before I let you go, I've enjoyed this conversation. I think it's been enlightening, but also I think people probably have been encouraged to become part of this. How can people become part of Saving California or this recall effort?
You can go to savingcalifornia.vote, and we have already gotten more than 11,000 volunteers who have already signed up through our website and have also given us small dollar donations to be able to go ahead and get this on the ballot. And when you get 11,000 active volunteers in less than 30 days to sign up for anything in California, that's a movement. And so I'm very proud of what we're able to accomplish thus far. We're just getting started, and welcome to the campaign, Governor.
Randy, I meant to ask you, what is the timeline on this? How many signatures do you need, and by when?
You need about 1.2, 1.3 million signatures. We have a 5-month period. As soon as the Secretary of State gives us the green light, the Secretary of State could give us the green light as early as next week, saying we have a valid petition request. And so we are, it's a very short timeline. So just 160 days. After that's done, then we literally could be within 4 weeks or 5 weeks afterwards, and we have an election. So we can have the election as early as probably beginning of August. Yeah. So that still gives him 18 months prior to his last tenure as governor.
We shall see. He is Randy Economy, part of the nonpartisan group Saving California, and he is leading the effort in this latest recall against Governor Gavin Newsom. Randy, it's good to talk to you, my friend. I want to stay more in touch with you so we can cover this as we go along.
I'm right here for you, Mo, 24/7.
It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640, Mr. Mo Kelly here. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Let me reset the show very quickly. During the first segment tonight, I was running down what we were going to talk about. And I got to this story, which I previewed in the first segment, talking about how thousands of Danes have signed a petition to buy California from U.S. And I had this huge brain fart. Just my mind just locked up. I couldn't remember the geography. I couldn't remember the connection. Is Danish? Is that Dutch? Is that, it just all went to hell. And then Mark looked it up and corrected us as far as who is what, Denmark, Netherlands, all that kind of stuff. Okay. And you let me know loudly, consistently, impolitely.
I included myself in it, okay?
Oh, no. We all got it wrong. It was just funny because you had those moments. Before I get into the story, there are days in which I'll look at a word like goes, G-O-E-S, or does, D-O-E-S. And it just looks weird. Like, am I spelling it wrong? Or is there something, is there a couple of letters out of order? It just doesn't look right, even though you might have spelled it correctly for the past 52 years. But sometimes, your brain locks up and you get things wrong. And it was funny. It was funny to me, at least. And you guys cannot stop letting me know what I got wrong. But I'll be a good sport about it. But this is in response to President Trump's continued remarks about the U.S. buying Greenland from Denmark. So Danish citizens have launched their own effort to purchase California. Yes. There's an online petition seeking what is called the Denmarkification of California. It has garnered about 200,000 signatures, with a pitch to Danish citizens that purchasing California would provide them with more sunshine, dominance in the tech industry, limitless avocado toast, and easy access to Disneyland. Well, it depends on where you are in the state. I mean, if you're like Lodi, you're not exactly close to Disneyland or even San Francisco. That's like a state and a half away. But, tomato. There are some estimates about how much it would take to buy California. Forget all the civics of actually selling California. Just put all that aside. Suspend your disbelief for just a moment. There is a fundraising goal of $1 trillion. And the organizers of this online petition say it would cost every Danish citizen, every citizen of Denmark, approximately $28,000. So if everybody in Denmark pitched in $28,000, they would be able to afford what they think is the cost of California. But again, in the way that Greenland's not for sale, I didn't know that California was on the auction block. I didn't know that. You would think that if California was available, given it's like the fourth or fifth largest economy, I'm sure that there would be other bidders in the process. Or maybe this is all tongue-in-cheek and mocking the whole idea of buying Greenland. Probably the latter.
Some of the clapbacks have been pretty funny.
Oh, can you see some of them?
I mean, just the whole thing. Greenland, Panama.
Big picture. Yes.
Was Canada. They've been less than respectful, I would put it that way.
I try to tell people, because I'm real big on civics. And it doesn't matter whether you like an idea or not. It doesn't matter if it's like, oh, yeah, I could go for that. You cannot just buy a sovereign nation. You can't just annex a country and make it a state. And if you want to get into the civics of it all, to make the 51st state, that goes through Congress. The president doesn't do anything until the very end where he signs a proclamation.
Oh, don't forget about Gaza. I forgot Gaza.
Well, there's Gaza
four
as well.
That's four right now that we're looking to accumulate. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to be simultaneously an isolationist and also acquire Gaza, Canada, Panama Canal, and who did I forget?
Gaza, Canada, Mexico, Greenland.
Yes. Okay, Greenland. That's what I forgot.
Wait, did I say Mexico?
Yeah.
I meant Panama.
Well, but, tomato.
Are you in touch with any friends from Europe?
Yes, I am, as a matter of fact.
Me too. They think we're nuts.
Yes, they do. They do. I have friends who live in Spain, one who works as a journalist and has been on this show, and I have a few family members in the United Kingdom, Great Britain specifically. Yes. From the outside in, it doesn't make any sense to them. It just doesn't make any sense. Why people would want to argue that annexing sovereign territory is, number one, a good idea, and two, won't also start a war, I have no idea. I can't explain that to you. If someone said, hey, we're going to annex the United States, that's going to start a war. Conversely, the opposite is also true. If you try to say that we're going to take the Panama Canal by force, which has been said by our president, that will start a war.
It kind of ties in with what we were talking about earlier about Nazis. It's generally considered impolite to take other people's countries from them. Yeah,
and then also, going back to civics and how the world works, if you don't know, Greenland is a part of the Council of Europe and also a full NATO member. And if you know anything about NATO, an attack on one is attack on all.
For now.
Well, I can only deal with for now. I don't know what the future is going to hold.
It's my understanding that key personnel would like us out of NATO.
But it still would be the same, because if we were to try to annex a member of NATO, it still doesn't change the response of NATO if we're a member or not.
I don't want to see how that goes. You might think you want to, but I promise you don't.
No, I seriously don't. I for all the conversation we had about extricating ourselves from Afghanistan, how we need to get out of these wars, how we need to get out of the Middle East specifically, purchasing Gaza probably is in direct contradiction to that. And I say that also with the latest pronouncement that the president has threatened all hell breaking out. I think that's a quote. If not all of the Israeli hostages are released this weekend, that's not encouraging as far as
by high noon. High noon.
That's not encouraging if we're actually trying to be isolationists. And, if what Benjamin Netanyahu threatens to do is one thing, but when we're threatening it, that means that we're then actively involved in possibly a military conflict. Because one of two things happens, actually one of three things. Hamas actually releases all the hostages as demanded. And if they don't, well, that means the president would have lost face in the international community because he's made a red line, and then Hamas would have stepped over it, or Israel steps in and does something along those lines and taking that burden off of our shoulders, or we do something to back up the threat, and then we're in another military conflict in the Middle East for who knows how long.
Well, it's a good thing that region isn't any kind of powder keg or anything like that.
No, it's very stable.
And it's also a good thing that this is guaranteed to bring down the price of eggs.
That too.
Yeah.
That too. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI Mo Kelly. I am not a Valentine's Day person. Neither is my wife. It was kind of one of the things we agreed upon when we got married. We would not put any effort into Valentine's Day, but I know a lot of people do. A lot of people do. I know Mark does. He bends over backwards to make sure that the long-suffering one is well cared for on Valentine's Day. So this is for him.
Actually, we just had the talk.
The talk.
Yeah. Don't you dare get me anything and make a big deal out of the talk.
Yes, that talk. I've been there many times. But this is your Valentine's Day horoscope for everyone else. And it says you might be questioning your love life. Let's start with Aries, as always. Aries, don't pretend that Valentine's Day is any old day. It's Valentine's Day, and you deserve to enjoy it despite being unattached. You may not want to stray from your usual routine, especially if you want to avoid lovey-dovey couples. However, your subconscious outlook on this holiday might change if you feel inspired to be your own Valentine. Consider reaching out to your fellow single friends to make last-minute Galentine's Day plans for the evening. You won't regret splurging on yourself. Yeah, I didn't know that was really a thing, Galentine's Day.
It is. It's a thing. It's a thing.
Taurus, take a solo trip in the name of self-love. Don't let being single stop you from having a spontaneous adventure. You may feel unsure of leaving for the weekend if you're afraid to fly solo for the weekend. Although it can be daunting to travel alone, you may benefit from a staycation or taking a last-minute trip. Spending time with yourself can help you figure out who you are and what you want. And who knows, you might meet someone while you're away. It seemed like that was a whole euphemism for something else. I'm not exactly sure.
Self-love?
Yeah.
Self-love.
All that.
You don't want somebody to walk in while you're engaging in the self-love.
Yeah, you don't want to meet someone at that time. No. Gemini, you can afford to give yourself a nice Valentine's Day. At first, you may be hesitant to splurge on yourself, although you could very well receive an unexpected V-Day gift. That sounds wrong. You may want to treat yourself. The best way to honor your single self is by getting out of the house. You may want to hide away at home, but the cosmic energy will encourage you to put yourself out there. Go on a solo dinner date. You never know where the night will take you.
Also with V-Days?
Yes, V-Day. It's a different type of V-Day.
It's a type of, yeah.
Cancer, hello. This is for Stefan.
All right.
What are you looking for, Stefan, in love? Being single on Valentine's Day isn't easy, especially if it feels like everyone has found their soulmate except for you. Although this can be a lot to mentally and emotionally process. Don't get down on yourself. Keep that chin up. Just because you haven't found the one doesn't mean it won't happen.
Damn.
That was brutal.
That hurts. I'm
Yeah.
I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah.
Just keep your chin up.
Keep hope alive.
There's always self-love.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
Always next year. Leo, Valentine's Day might bring out your vulnerability. Usually you don't get easily discouraged from finding love. However, you might be painfully aware of your singleness on this particular holiday. Memories of past romantic situations and relationships and, booty calls may come to mind as you reflect on your relationship status. Part of you may wonder where you went wrong. Since this could be a potentially emotional time, you may want to stop any negative thoughts in their tracks. You are worthy of love, so surround yourself with people who love you today. Sounds like an orgy. Virgo, you're not alone. Valentine's Day may feel initially isolating. It may be partially due to having a semi-rigid view of what love looks like. However, love is still all around. And even if it comes in a different package than what you anticipated, the love of your life may show up differently, such as a best friend or a sibling who feels like you're so... What?
Wait, what?
Hey,
pause.
The love of your life may show up differently, such as a best friend or a sibling.
Someone's been watching that old Folgers commercial where the girl's brother shows up and she says, "You're my gift."
It says that who feels like your soulmate. What? Oh, come on.
Someone who's been watching Star Wars before they found out they were siblings?
This is like...
That's real weird.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Jeez.
Yes.
Libra, I'm not even going to finish that one. Share your relationship status with the world. You could be highly sought after if you are open about being single and ready to mingle. At first, you could be hesitant to be so public about your singleness. Maybe you like to keep people guessing, or you could feel emotional about coming out as unattached. But once you put yourself out there, you will be pleasantly surprised. And here comes Scorpio.
Coming out as unattached? Okay, all right, go on.
There's a lot of innuendo here.
Yeah.
Scorpio, just because you're single doesn't mean you can't participate. Fulfill your dreams this Valentine's Day. Maybe you have always wanted to try a restaurant, do an activity, or sign up for a class that happens to be available on V-Day. There they go again. Although it might be marketed as a couple's experience, this doesn't mean you're excluded. You may have to find the courage to attend the opportunity alone. Better yet, make it a friend date by inviting one of your single friends to go with you.
Oh, third wheel action. What
is it inviting a single friend? Are they talking about invite like a wingman or what?
I mean, but what is the point of this? So I'm just showing up to the Valentine's Day dinners and I'm by myself clapping for other people. Get out of here with this madness.
Sagittarius, it's me. And I'm not single. Should you go out or stay in, Sagittarius, being single on V-Day will present a world of possibilities. You could opt to enjoy your night at home watching cute rom-com movies, enjoying a bubble bath, or inviting a friend over for a low-key night. If you invite someone over on Valentine's night, someone is expecting something to happen.
That's a booty call.
Okay, Capricorn, we're just going to keep on moving. Capricorn, a meet cute could happen to you. You never know which one of Cupid's arrows will hit on Valentine's Day. As the weekend approaches, V-Day could kick off several fun festivities for you to take advantage of. Don't let being single hold you back from going out and about. You might run into a perfect stranger at the grocery store or while you're enjoying a bite to eat at your favorite restaurant. Let me just tell you, my grocery store, you're not going to meet anyone, okay? You don't talk to anyone. You don't look at anyone. Because you don't want to get robbed.
Yeah, I don't know what the late night hookers at the Ralphs I go to are up to on Valentine's Day.
You understand what I'm talking about? You don't engage anyone. You keep to yourself.
I will not be celebrating V-Day with the hookers at Ralph's
because it might end up being V-Day.
The kind that you need.
Come on, give me something. Aquarius, of all zodiac signs, Aquarius might like being single the most. Being single might be more of a natural state for Aquarians since they might prefer doing their own thing and not checking in with anyone. Since there are so many fun experiences and offers around V-Day, you might be excited to take advantage of everything. You could book a luxurious dinner at a high-end restaurant or take yourself to the movies. Regardless of what you do, you will love doing it alone because you won't have to coordinate or accommodate anyone else. And lastly, Pisces. How does Pisces feel about being single on Valentine's Day? Well, a rush of emotions may initially topple you over this on Valentine's Day morning. You can feel overwhelmed about your relationship status if you struggle with being alone and navigating the current dating pool. Regardless, your feelings are valid. As V-Day goes on, you may feel better about your singleness. One of your friends could even surprise you with last-minute plans for the evening, which will remind you that you are loved even if you're not in a relationship. I don't get friends just showing up and surprising people. It's weird. It's just strange.
I don't like any of this.
Like, okay, Tuala's single, Stefan is single. If Stefan shows up at Tuala's door and says, hey, let's hang out on Valentine's Day, it's kind of weird.
I'm cussing.
Kind of weird.
I'm cussing. Look, I love you, Fuchs, but don't just be showing up like, let's hang out. That's weird, my dog. That's weird.
Very odd. You got 364 other days of the year you can do that.
Right?
Yeah.
We're all hanging out together on Thursday.
Yeah.
Day before V-Day.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
See?
Mm-hmm. So don't show up on his doorstep on Friday.
No.
And not only that, if you're out on a date, Fuchs, I won't show up and just sit at the table next to you all and look at you.
Staring at you.
Eating my food. Is that good? Is that good over there?
Start asking
what
questions.
Did you get?
So you're going to blow her back out tonight or what?
Jesus.
What? Huh? Did you say something more? What did you say, Tuala? What? Who said that?
It wasn't me.
Who said that? What does it mean to blow someone's back out?
Shame on you.
Hillary would know nothing about that. Maybe Monica Lewinsky. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
We go through all the that's going on so that we can tell you just the you need to know.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.